Hello everyone, this is Where. Welcome to my channel. Today I would like to share with you about my first programming learning project, how to make a snake game using Pygame. It is very fundamental, but I'm still very excited about this because this is my first self-motivated project. And today I would like to share my experience on making the game. The reason I want to start this project is because I want to improve my coding skills by creating something fun. I know there are many excellent game development softwares out there, and Pygame will never be the popular one on the market. But since I used to have some experience on Python and Pygame is having lots of practice on coding involved, I believe it would be a good start. For my snake game, I separate it into 3 windows. Window 1, Start window, where the player will see a welcome message. Window 2, Game playing window, which is the main window that we are familiar with. It has a snake, a food, and the snake can move around and eat the food. Window 3, Game over window, which is when the snake touched the border and died, it shows a scoreboard and asks if the player wants to start a new game. And my 3 windows run like this. When it starts the game, it shows window 1. When the player presses Enter key, it starts window 2, and the snake game starts running. When the snake died, it starts window 3. When the player presses Enter key, it starts window 2. The snake game starts again. Anytime during the game, if the player presses Escape key or click X on the window, the program terminates. So I designed a pseudocode block to organize my 3 windows. Generally, I design 2 while loops for the program. The first while loop controls the program. When it stops, the whole Python program terminates. The second while loop controls window 2. When it stops, which means the snake died, window 2 terminates and window 3 automatically starts. As you can see, I wrote the window 1 code before the first while loop. Then for window 2, I separate it into 2 sessions. Session 1 for window 2 objects initialization, Session 2 for window 2 animations. Session 1 is placed within first loop but before second loop. Session 2 is placed within second loop. Then window 3 code is placed after second loop and before first loop ends. Now this will be my program backbone. Next, let's look at each window. Window 1 is a 600 x 600 pixels black screen. It contains 2 messages. When the player presses Enter key, the program enters window 2. Window 2 is the main interface of Snake Game. Let's together list the objects and their properties in window 2 by looking at the picture. There's a snake, then there's a food. The snake changes moving direction if the player presses arrow key. When the snake head meets the food, it eats the food. Then another food appears at the random position in the window. When the snake touches the border, it dies, game over. There's score recording system during the game. When the snake eats a food, at one point, the final score will be shown in window 3. Looking at the backbone, I separate window 2 code into 2 parts. The first part is the code of initialization, which is basically property number 1, to set up snake and food. It is placed within first while loop but before second while loop. The second part is the animation, which includes properties number 2 to number 5. They are placed within second while loop. For window 3, it is actually similar as window 1. The only difference is it contains a semi-transparent rectangle as a scoreboard and holds 4 messages to display the scores. That is the basic version of my snake game. But I am a person who loves cute, pretty things. I cannot accept my snake and food are just the simple squares. I want something adorable, for example, a real snake image with snake head and a snake tail. How can I do that? First, let's see my result. Left side is the version 1, right side is the version 2. It is not turning into a 3D game, but at least it has a real snake with some little cute animations. Now let's break down and compare each window. Window 1 does not have many changes. By comparing 2 game interfaces, we can see V1 has a black background, V2 has a green background. V1's window is a square. It is 600 times 600 pixels. V2's window is slightly longer. It is 640 times 700. Now let's move on to window 2. Window 2 has lots of differences between V1 and V2. V1 has a black background, while V2 has a play game board and there's a scorebar on the top. For the food, V1 is a green square, while V2 is a real apple image and it has glowing animation. For the snake, V1 is composed of 3 red squares, while V2 is a real snake image and it can open mouth while near the food. I drew the apple and the snake using Adobe Illustrator and loaded image using Pygame function. For food, it is straightforward, but for snake, it is a little complicated. I separated snake into 3 parts: snake head, snake body, snake tail. 2 things need to be aware of. First, when snake change moving direction, the snake images also need to rotate appropriately. Second, at the turning point, the snake body should have a corner. There are 4 types of corner: left top, left bottom, right top, right bottom. By understanding the relationship between corner and its next door body part, I determine which corner type to choose. For example, if the snake first moving up and then turning left, we should choose left bottom corner. Here is an illustrative figure for their relationship. It is in total 8 direction change possibilities. Next is animation. For the food, it is a glowing animation where the food image becomes larger and small recurrently. So I loaded 1 apple image and then set it into different sizes. I put these different sized apple images in a list, then displayed them recurrently through the game loop. Now let's move on to window 3. In V2, the snake has a blink eye animation, and V2 has a real scoreboard image. For adding a blink eye animation into the window 3, I would say this is the most difficult change I experienced from V1 to V2, because in V1, window 3 only has static objects. All the objects only need to display once, so no loop needed. But now in V2, we have both static and animated objects in window 3. To achieve this, I built 2 functions. The first function is to display all the static objects, such as scoreboard, the food image, etc. The second function is to display animated object, which is the snake head with multiple blinking eye frames. Then I add a while loop specifically for window 3. This while loop should have these properties. It starts only when window 2 loop terminates. It only runs static function once, but would recurrently run for animated function. It terminates when the player enters a key. With this update, now my backbone looks like this. Most of things stay the same, but in order to control window 3 loop, I set up a variable named start window 3. When it turns false, window 2 loop runs. When it turns true, window 3 loop runs. Alright, that is the end of the story. Though it is not as fancy as those published ones on the market, I'm still very proud of myself. I enjoy the coding process and also learning a lot of new things. And it also combines a lot of drawings, which is always my favorite. For the complete source code and tutorial, I have put them on my GitHub. I put the links in the info box below. You should be able to run the program if you install the Pygame package properly. I also attach a link for the Pygame installation as well. So hope you enjoy it and see you next time.